Guruve Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tad Bhaktaya Namo Namaha Panchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vaevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Dhanavad Pranam, devotees. So this morning I'm answering a question that was based on a conversation I had recently regarding the nature of the literal question was, how do I experience Harinam? And the person mentioned they had been chanting for so many years. I can't remember the exact number, but that they are dedicated to the practice and will continue the practice. But they were asking a kind of a twofold question. One was why they don't experience the effects necessarily as they think they would, meaning like a level of realization and perhaps serious taste in bhakti, etc., and taste in nam primarily. And they are trying to avoid the 10 offenses. So that was big, because many people, even in asking that question, don't really bring up the fact that the offenses to Harinam are the main reason why one may not taste the efficacy of Harinam or taste the results of chanting. Even according to one verse, if you're chanting for thousands of lifetimes, you won't get the goal of this chanting if it is invested with the primarily 10 offenses they are mentioned in Padma Purana. So I'm speaking here, of course, we know the 10 offenses. I think maybe to not elongate this session here, maybe I won't go through them. If I find that there's time, I'll try to go through them. But anyone can research and find the 10 offenses, and that was the template of what is primarily an obstacle to having any kind of experience related to the chanting of Harinam. So I want to speak a little bit more about the mental conditions that give rise, first of all, to the commission of aparads, and secondly, the nature of how we see and how we view the relationship with Harinam, if we understand it as a relationship at all. So let me begin there. For many people, the introduction and experience regarding Harinam was, of course, first hearing about it, that there's such a thing as a Hare Krishna mantra, right? So right away, there are different connotations that different people have about the meaning of the word mantra. And even if you understand the Sanskrit, then man means mind, tra means to free, so it is a sound vibration that frees the mind. So even if you have the academic perspective on what is the meaning of the word mantra, that does not necessarily clarify what that means in relation to you. You understand? It's an idea that mantras clear the mind, right? And then you can even go on to add things. It clears the mind from anxiety, from this, from that, right? But it's not really necessarily a clear understanding of what exactly the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is meant to do, first of all, and secondly, how it is related to you, because they're two different things. What it does and how it's related to you have some relation, but they manifest in two different dynamics. So let me explain that. Knowing that the Hare Krishna mantra removes sins, takes away misery, that it gives us the ability to once again realize God and therefore become free from all suffering. So we have to start to analyze all of these things and have a proper idea of what my relationship with Harinam is. I keep emphasizing this word, relationship, because when we receive Harinam from Sri Guru is giving their realization of Nam to the disciple. Because other than that, there'd be no need for a Harinam being given by Guru, because Harinam, you could find it anyway. You could look online and find the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So what is the speciality of receiving it from a Vaishnava? That Vaishnava is giving their mood, relation, everything. They're giving, when they give you Harinam, they're giving that. They're giving their mood, their relation with Nam to the disciple, with the hope that the disciple will begin to mature in understanding relation with Harinam, and then later Sri Guru can give more clarity of that relationship in the form of giving the Diksha mantras. The Diksha mantras are particularly meant to, one, establish that the name of Bhagavan being chanted in the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is our Ishtadev, means our primary form of worship, and there's also a Visesh Sambandha Gyan, a special relationship that you have with Krishna, and in a seed form in that mantra, that relationship is being given. So again, we're back to this word relationship. So one of the prominent things that blocks experiencing something in the chanting of Harinam is the idea of what kind of relationship we have with Nam. So as I mentioned earlier, if we see Nam as a mantra, a method, a protocol, a duty, a modality, which essentially then functions to do something for me, like primarily, of course, free me from suffering, hopefully give me eternal life, eternal happiness, etc., then the nature of the relationship does not align with what is pure bhakti. Because pure bhakti is described, anya abhilasita sunya. So there should be no other desire. Anya abhilas sunya means no other desire. I'm not explaining this suffix ita here because I've done before, right? So what is the one desire that's permissible? Because it says anya abhilas means no other desire. So it means one desire must be there. Anukulyena Krishna anusilanam. That all seal means endeavors, right? All endeavors should be for the anukul or happiness of Krishna. There's many nuances here which have been explained by our acharyas, such as vyapti dosh, ati vyapti dosh, means the overextension or underextension of that meaning of giving happiness to Krishna. But the point here that I'm making is that the essential feature of chanting Harinam is to develop a mood in which one has an exclusive desire for the happiness of Krishna. So now we can kind of see that when I'm chanting with the mindset that Harinam is a modality, protocol, duty, etc., based around fulfilling my desires, we've now introduced another abhilas, and it is not now synthesized with the meaning of pure bhakti. Therefore, Nam, which is meant to reveal pure bhakti, will maybe give you sukriti. From that sukriti, you can enjoy yourself. That may give you some relief from karmic pressure, right? That means from your parabdha karmas and so forth and so on. Also, Harinam is so powerful. Vaikuntha nama asesha agaharam vidu, it's mentioned. It can kind of destroy all kinds of sins. But if you're chanting in a certain mindset, it will not stop the beej of sin. Pop beej means the root of where sins come from. It will continue to eradicate sins, but it won't stop the influence of where they're coming from. So what kind of mindset we take, what kind of view of relationship we take with Harinam is very prominent in how Nam reciprocates. So I've spoken about the negative side of what kind of relations don't produce a positive effect in terms of getting realization and growing in your taking of Harinam. Let me recouch that, your serving of Harinam, right? So the relationship of this name and the Nami, meaning the person who possesses this name, are non-different. So whereas the eyes always are prominent in identifying personal relationship, right, or things that we identify and we connect to personally, the eyes become the prominent sense of that. In bhakti, in the spiritual life in general, but especially in bhakti, the prominent sense which dominates the creation of relationship is the ear. So it's mentioned there, Shruta Ikshita, seeing will be done through the ear. So that means we will realize what is the personality of Nam by hearing. What will we hear? Not only the meditation and the service to Nam, because chanting a fixed number of rounds is a vow of service to someone, not something. Understand? So this is a vow, like you take a wedding vow to marry a man or a woman, right? So that exchange is an exchange of love, right? Which is what the object we want from Harinam is love of God, right? So that mode of taking seriously a vow to chant a fixed number of rounds each day is actually a vow to love someone. It's not a matter of performing a modality or protocol or duty, right? It is an actual vow of love. So now that love is between two persons. So through the ear, Shruta Ikshita, hearing the Harikatha regarding your worshipable objective, Shri Hare Krishna Mahaprabhu, that is how we begin to chant with a fixed relation. Sri Guru then solidifies that fixed relation by giving Diksha mantras. And in the Diksha mantras, Visesh Sambandha Gyan is given. So now when you are serving Harinam, you're serving with the meditation of a fixed mood of aspiration, of service towards Shri Hare Krishna, Sriman Mahaprabhu. So now the daily chanting is not a duty protocol modality, and Nam is not a sound vibration, a mantra, etc. But actually the Nam is not different from Nami. Nama Chintamani Krishna's Chaitanya Rasvigraha Purnasuro Nityamukto Abhinatvam Nama Namyo. That the name is not different from Nami. So Hare Krishna, Hare is the vocative of Radha, right, or Hara, which means Radha. The vocative in Sanskrit is Hare. So Radha and Krishna. I am repeating the names of Radha and Krishna. I will think that the order to repeat this name has come down in our parampara from Sriman Mahaprabhu himself. So I am repeating that name in a desperate aspiration for the loving service of the persona of that name, Radha and Krishna themselves. So in the name, everything is there. Mahaprabhu told in the second verse of Shishashtakam, Namna Makari Bahuda Nija Sava Shaktis Tatrapita Niyamita Smaranena Kala. That he's even given so much mercy that Smaranena Kala, there is no particular rule, regulation, janiyam, it's called, around being able to express this love in the form of the vow of serving Harinam each day. There are no hard and fast rules and regulations. Of course, to chant Diksha mantras, they should be done under a certain standard of cleanliness, at a certain time of day, with a certain kind of understanding of the mantras, etc., etc. But Harinam is so merciful that Harinam has appeared and niyama. There are no niyams, no rules and regulations, right? We have, of course, some guidelines to follow, but no hard and fast rules for serving Harinam. But we should meditate that service is to Shri Radha Krishna. And Namnamakri Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis, all of Krishna's Shaktis present. The Mool Shakti of Krishna is Srimati Radharani. So here the declaration is that Srimati Radhika is directly present in Harinam. And in order to serve Krishna, especially in this line that we have come in, this line of Sriman Mahaprabhu, the primary mode of service is called Radha Dasyam. You understand? Radha Dasyam. So this name fully has the presence of the Shakti of Srimati Radhika herself. So when we're chanting Harinam, we're taking loving service under the shelter of Srimati Radharani, which is our aspiration, which is our goal. This is our sadhya. And when we're chanting Harinam as a sadhana, or serving Harinam as a sadhana, it has to have a sadhya. Sadhana means there must be some goal. Other than that, it's not really a sadhana. So the sadhana, or the service to Harinam here, produces the sadhya of love in service under Srimati Radhika to Sri Krishna. So now the chanting is not a protocol, duty, etc., based around my desire for freedom from suffering, or to bring me happiness, or to give me peace, or to take away my anxiety, or to get me a new job, wife, husband, car, etc., etc. You understand? Or to make my life very peaceful. It is really a vow in a deep mood of love and aspiration for love to serve exclusively Anukulyena Krishna Anusilanam. Bhakti Uttama. To give Uttam Bhakti here means Uttam praying, the highest class of love. To serve that for the Anukul of Sri Krishna. Anukul here means happiness, but it has a deeper meaning. It means what is best for Krishna. Like the example I told earlier, I didn't want to explain it, but this may help, of Vyapti and Ativyapti Dosh. So, Avyapti Dosh means the underextension of the meaning of that phrase. So, for instance, when Krishna was wrestling in the arena of Kamsa with the wrestlers, Krishna was experiencing a kind of happiness. But that happiness was not coming from Charan and Mustika. The happiness was coming from his own Atmaramata. Because Charan and Mustika, Tosala, other wrestlers, they did not have a favorable mood towards Krishna. They were trying to kill Krishna under the order of Kamsa, therefore their mood was called Pratikul, unfavorable. So it's not Anukulyena Krishna Anusilanam. The endeavors they were making were Pratikul. On the other hand, when Mother Yashoda was holding Krishna on her lap, and Krishna was taking her breast milk, at the time in the Damodar Lila, when she sees the milk she had been boiling over the pot, she immediately put Krishna down and went to tend to that milk. Because Mother Yashoda, as being deeply steeped in parental affection, was thinking, from the milk on this stove, I will make so many different ingredients to give pleasure to Krishna. But Krishna, being unhappy at that very moment there, right? Being unhappy at that very moment, began to cry. So one could think, well, how is that service to Krishna? So if you think this way, this is called Avyapti Dosh, the underextension of the meaning. It means that you think that though Mother Yashoda was doing something for the complete satisfaction of Krishna, because Krishna didn't appear happy at that time, it is not really pure love. So that's called Avyapti Dosh, to give an underestimation of the meaning of praying. Ativyapti Dosh means to give an overextension, that the wrestlers like Charan and Mustika, Toshal, etc., though they had Pratikul Bhav, because Krishna was happy in fighting, then they were doing bhakti. You understand? So pure bhakti is based on giving Anukul. I was trying to explain this word Anukul. Seva to Sri Krishna, especially to Srimati Radhika. So the daily absorption in Harinam is an absorption in a mood of loving seva. Dhanavad, Sadan, Siddha Prabhu, Lalita Priya Devi, other devotees, Chit Prabhu. Right? So it is a mood of loving service. And there is a dhyan or meditation to be accomplished there simply by hearing. Shruta Ikshita. Because Srila Prabhupada used to say, simply chant and hear the name. So in the beginning, in our conditioned state, because we predominate everything by eyes, is a primary dominating sense, right? So when we think about hearing something, that something we're hearing has to be something from our conditional life that was pleasing. We've become accustomed to hearing a certain kind of music, a certain kind of vibration, a certain kind of narration of something, right? Something that gives pleasure to us. But here the mood is, I am serving to give pleasure to Radha and Krishna, who have appeared, who I'm seeing Shruta Ikshita through hearing. And therefore, the idea of simply chanting clearly the name and hearing it is seen. But that will come in maturation. But also in that name, everything is there. Radha, Krishna, their gun, their root, their gun, their qualities, their associates, and also ultimately their lila. So Nam, Roop, Gun, Parikar, and Lila are all present in Harinam. And by chanting and Shruta Ikshita, seeing how you aspire to serve through hearing that Nam will then allow Nam to reciprocate and give the effect of giving maturation in bhakti, so that that aspiration becomes crystallized in incremental stages through sadhu sangha, bhajana kriya, anatana vritti, nishta, ruchi, asakti, to bhav, which is the sajja of sadhana. Understand? So this is part of the mentality that even if a person's trying to avoid the 10 offenses, because of the idea of how people see Harinam, they're unable to create a proper relationship. So they look at Harinam as a tool or as a method or as a protocol. And in general, they look at it that way because they themselves are looking at being the beneficiaries of whatever's to come from Nam. They're not looking, how can I be of service to the object, to the objective, not object, but objective that I want to obtain, which is loving service to Shri Radha and Krishna. And axiomatically, automatically, that means Mahaprabhu, because you cannot enter Krishna Lila without going through Gaur Lila. So this is the secret. And Mahaprabhu, he wrote Shashtakam earlier before he recited it. In the Antya Lila, chapter 20, he recites the Shashtakam. But he had already written it previously. So he wrote Shashtakam as a concise manual to show how to do bhajan based around Harinam. There are many deep meanings here. Right? Yes, Sushanta Prabhu. Yes, Chaito Dharpana Marjanam. He's quoting the verse. So what is this? That Chaito Dharpana Marjanam Bhava Maha Davagni Navarpanam. So there are different meanings here. We're accustomed to one meaning. One meaning here is Chaito Dharpana Marjanam. Dharpana means mirror. What mirror? Of the Chitta. Chitta is the consciousness of the Jiva. May the consciousness of the Jiva, and why is it called a mirror? Has anybody ever thought of that? Why is the Chitta called a mirror? Because the Atma itself never touches the material energy. Asango Hyanyam Purushaha. The Purusha, the Atma, never touches the material energy. It is looking through the Chitta, which is like a mirror, and is having vicarious identification with the material world. So Mahaprabhu is writing here, Chaito Dharpana Marjanam. We have to clean through the seva of bhakti, especially 64 angas distilled to 9, distilled to 5, primarily 1, which is Harinam. We have to clean that chitta, the mirror of the heart. And then Bhava Mahadavagni Nivapanam. Then automatically, without your separate endeavor for thinking about it, the suffering that comes from samsara and samsari life means the cycle of birth and death will automatically be dissipated. Shreya Kairava Chandrika. And what will arise? Like a lotus blossoms, the sweet fragrant lotus of the mood of bhav will evolve and expand in your heart. You understand? So very deep meanings here. But I'm giving one also deep meaning that Mahaprabhu was tasting in the Antya-lila chapter 20, just to show how everything is in Harinam, from the very beginning stages of a sadhaka trying to perform bhakti to become perfect, to the highest conceptions of love. So here, Chaito Dharpana Marjanam Bhava Maha Davagni Nivapanam. Who will recite this? Because remember, when Mahaprabhu was reciting this, it was after he heard the sonnet, the special poem of Advaita Acharya in Antya-lila 19, that was telling Mahaprabhu it's time to end your pastimes. So from that day, it expresses in Chaitanya Charitamrita that Mahaprabhu went into a very deep mood, the mood of Srimati Radhika, when Akrura had come to Braj to take Krishna to Mathura. That mood of separation. And this is very special because it was at that time when Akrura came to Braj to take Krishna to Mathura, that the gopis first openly expressed their love in front of everyone. Other than that, I've told many times before, the nature of Madhurya Rasa especially has one feature called Prachana Mukata. It means it must be kept very hidden. You understand? But here, when Krishna got on the chariot and he was being taken to Mathura by Akrura, the gopis openly stated, Visraja Laja Rudasma Suswaram Govinda Damo Dharamadavati. They begin to in great love while crying profusely and singing. Suswara means swara is like a musical note. But here the indication is that that note was directly a reflection of their own emotional state. So it was a very unique suswaram. It was a note or a melody based on a note that was so extremely imbued with love in a deep mood of separation. They began to sing the names Govinda Damo Dharamadavati, Govinda Damo Dharamadavati. So they openly showed their love. In the same way, when Mahaprabhu recites Shashastakam in Anchalila 20, he's expressing this deep mood of Radhika. So Chaito Darpanam Ajanam Bhava Mahadavagni Navapanam here means, oh, my heart has been covered with the dust rising from the chariot wheels of Akrura, and I can no longer clearly see my beloved. And not being able to see my beloved, I've been drowning, or I've been immersed in an ocean of Bhava Mahadavagni Nivapanam, the fire of separation. Very deep meanings in Shastakam. I can't do all here because it wasn't our subject matter for today, but extremely deep meanings are present in Sri Shastakam. First, we should understand it from the point of view of our Sadak life. How Harinam is prominent in awakening our love of God. This is first thing. But then you will appreciate how everything is there in that Shastakam. All the deep moods Mahaprabhu is experiencing of Radhika's deepest moods of separation are present here in this Shastakam. You understand? So, the whole idea is that Harinam is a relationship that is executed through a vow to chant a set number of rounds each day. Of course, ideally, that number of rounds, it can be as many as you like, but there should be some regulated number. Sankhya Purva Kanama Gana Naktivhi. It's expressed in Goswami Astakam. They chanted a fixed number of rounds. 1 lakh Harinam has been standard in by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur because it's mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita. Our Srila Prabhupada said a minimum of 16. If there's some maturity, at least 32 rounds. At least 25. Then 32 better. And then, of course, if there's proper depth and everything, at least 1 lakh Harinam, 64 rounds. And that can be accomplished simply by schedule adjustment, right? Because we always find time to do everything else that we want to do. So we have to try to find time. And at least, if you are extremely busy, 32 rounds at least one should do. Because one should show the intention to want to chant 1 lakh Harinam, and at least that will show that intention, right? Because if I'm chanting 16 rounds, I can't finish my rounds, boom, but I have time for many other superfluous things, then that's also aparad to Harinam. Understand? So here I wanted to communicate the idea of what is the mindset or relationship to Harinam. Because if you understand that, the avoiding of the 10 offenses to Harinam, right, will be much easier to avoid, right? Like if you become absorbed in deep mood of relation with Harinam, you'll have less time than to be doing superfluous things on social media, like Satam Nindam, means blaspheming sadhus, right? So, if you develop mood of relationship and you understand dhyan, means meditation regarding Harinam, then after you do your stav and stuti and everything in the early morning, then you can sit. And the other thing is you should pray to Harinam. So many prayers are there to Harinam. I recited Namachintamani Krishna's Nam Namakari Bahudan Nija Sav Shaktis. So many prayers are there, right? So you should find some stav and stuti, recite the Harinam, Then begging the mercy of Mahaprabhu, right, to Panchatattva Mahamantra, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Then in a stream, unbroken stream, one should begin to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And then in incremental stages, the glory of Harinam will unfold all the way up to the point of Ashtakaliya Lila. Because in the 8 pairs of names, the whole Ashtakaliya Lila is also present there. All the moods of meeting and separation are present there. All of the actual Lila, which gives rise to the various periods of the day, are present, as well as the different moods imbued in those different Leelas. Everything is there present in Harinam. Understand? So only taking a mood, I'm serving Harinam. Also, we should not have the mood, I'm chanting Harinam. Because we are not the doers. Atahashi Krishna Namani Nabhavad Graimindriya. Your material senses cannot approach Apakrita means transcendental things. So your own tongue, your own mind, your own senses can't chant Harinam. But your desire can be to serve Harinam. And the mercy of Mahaprabhu is that he revealed the name in such a way, even to the lowest person. Chiraratatam Ninjaguptavitam Apamra Yogi Tatara Gora is the 3rd line. In his name, Chiraratatam Ninjaguptavitam Swanama Premamrita Atyudara. Premamrita is present there, and Apamra Yo Vitatara Gora. Mahaprabhu is given even to the lowest person. So if you adjust your mind, I'm begging at the lotus feet of my Guru Vargas, please let me serve Harinam. And under that mindset, then you can pick up the Holy Rosary of Ras Lila and beginning to chant those names with the deep mood of hearing that name, because when we talked about Shruta Ikshita, hearing that name while having a deep aspiration to serve Shri Krishna through Srimati Radhika. Because Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur Prabhupada is told, Arajo Bhagavan Vajesha Tanayasta Dhamma Brahmana Vrindavana Ramishka Chit Upasana Vrajvadu Vargena Yakalpita. This best method of worshipping Krishna is that which was performed by the gopis headed by Radhika. So we also have this aspiration. If your mood of service is different, every mood in Braj is ultimately Radha Dasyam. Because the aim and objective is Adi Ras, which means the love between Radha and Krishna. So in some direct or indirect way, all of the rasas of Braj are serving that mood. Right? Even Priyanama Sakas directly have some access to service to that mood. Krishna's Priya Sakas, by having friendship with him and giving an alternative engagement, they also support that mood. Though Madhurya Rasa and Vatsalya Rasa are not in Ras Tattva, they're not compatible, who can say that the idea that Radhika and Krishna have to hide from their parents in order to make their Radhika to make her abhisar, for Krishna to show up at the place of the rendezvous? It means you have to also avoid your parents and hide from them. So indirectly, it is contributing to the mood of service to Radha Krishna Yuga. So in this way, we should chant with great aspiration. If we have some maturation and we are some clear about our own Sambandha Gyan, we should chant with very deep mood to want to obtain that aspirational goal. And if you're not even clear, still you should chant, hearing Harinam clearly with a mood of loving seva. Again, that can only come when you only have one desire, that's the service of Krishna through the service of his eternal associates, especially if you have a desire for a Radha Dasyam or Manjari Bhav, serving through the mood of Srimati Radhika as a Kinkari or maid servant. You'll chant with this deep aspiration. And then Harinam, oh yes, this is what we want. So Harinam will give reciprocation. But chanting for your freedom from suffering, so forth, so on, there are many different things here. Because the jiva, that suffering is a vicarious experience. Yata swapna, like a dream. Not a dream, but like a dream. Because the Atma never touched material energy, so it was not the Atma that was ever suffering. Jiva Goswami clearly in Paramatma Sandarbha describes Chit Ananda Atmaka, and then gives a commentary there. Dukkha Pratiyogita. The Atma never has any actual dukkha or misery in the Atma. Everything is a vicarious identification. Just like watching a horror movie or something, And watching the movie, invested in that movie, you experience various ups and downs in your emotional state. But you're not actually on the movie set, nor is there actually real horror thing going on. It's all something that you're identifying with. So don't become absorbed in chanting for that. Even though our acharyas sometime in the beginning to very new people, they say, yes, chant for that. Because that's the only thing you can relate to is your own personal interest. At that point, nobody has any idea of selflessness, truly, and unconditional love. Therefore, they give you some personal motivation. Yeah, you'll get free from suffering. You'll be happy forever. You'll get out of material world. Yeah, so people take it. But as you mature, you have to adjust your motivation. And therefore, you have to start to chant with a motivation towards pleasing Krishna and giving up any self-motivation. And this is the secret to how Harinam will reciprocate to give realization and give you the experiences of higher levels of bhakti. So I'm praying all devotees that I'm also speaking for my own edification. I'm not preaching to people. I'm speaking for my edification and sharing it. So I'm begging all devotees, also you bless me, that I may have constant meditation in the same mood, and that my seva to Harinam may be fruitful. Jai Vanchakalpaturvishya Kripashanavacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Radhe Radhe.